Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. I hope you guys are well today. Happy Monday. We are going to chat about a few things and then I'll take your questions. And the reason why I want to chat about this particular title topic is because I got a good question on it and it made me think about all the reasons why your programming isn't working. And believe it or not, it probably isn't your programming. Okay, so hear me out. Um, so title of this one is Not Seeing Results with Your Training. Ask yourself these questions. And I just wrote an article. It is up. Well, it'll be up later. Editors are working on it this morning. It'll probably be up this afternoon over on military.com fitness center. But I'll probably wind up making a secondary article on my site linking to it with this podcast embedded in it, just because it's a really important topic. And I probably go through these questions every time I start talking to a new person I'm coaching. All right. So no matter what that goal is, whether it is, you know, losing weight, gaining weight, acing a fitness test, preparing for spec ops selection, getting bigger, faster, stronger, whatever, right? And you have a program and you're thinking about maybe this program isn't working for me. And I want you to ask yourself these questions. And you're right, it may not be right for you, but there may be other reasons why it's not working. So hear me out. It is largely has to do with your recovery and your consistency, but there's multiple things in those two groups. Am I sleeping enough? Am I sleeping well enough? 7 to 8 hours sleep a night, good night's sleep, not waking up 10, 15 times a night because you're snoring or peeing 3 or 4 times a week or a night. Um, that is disrupted sleep, not very restorative. Are you fueled properly before, during, and after each workout? And the reason why this is important is a lot of people like to go into workouts fasted. Let me tell you, if you've done a few times fasted, great. If it works for you, fine, do it. But if you're going hardcore, you got a high intensity workout, you may want some fuel in there, especially if you're first thing in the morning, you haven't eaten anything since the night before. That could mean you may not be at your best and you're kind of starting on half a tank versus able to sustain a level of performance for any particular amount of time. During, that might be sipping water, electrolytes, whatever. Might even be some carbohydrate, if you're really getting after it. And then after, are you recovering from that workout and refueling for tomorrow's workout or a second workout in the day? That's very important as well. So, are you fueled properly? Another one is, are you sticking to the plan consistently? Are you like, you got this plan in front of you? You got 6 days of training. Are you moving things around because that's okay to fit into your schedule? But are you skipping the run because you don't feel like it? Are you skipping the swim because the pool's shut? Right? Can you make it up another day? Little things like that affect your consistency and whether or not you're getting them done because you don't feel like it or your schedule doesn't allow it. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you being consistent with that plan? Um, how's your form on the exercises? What's your swimming technique? What's your running technique? How's your techniques for the lifts? How's your hand placements for the push-ups and pull-ups? Right? What's your strategies when you're taking tests? That's another one, that's in the technique strategy zone. Or how are you pacing yourself? All of those are very important to your performance. And ask yourself that question. Are you stressed out before you train? Are you training at the end of a day where you just burn the candle at both ends? You're lots of emotional stress, work stress, family stress, physical stress, whatever, and then you go work out again and you just burn it out again. Sometimes that's not the best answer, right? You're going to be weaker in a stressed state. That's just the way it is. Try to de-stress, then go work out, and you might see better results. And how are your progressions over time? Are you actually recovering? Are you doing daily exercises day after day after day, um, burning yourself out with no recovery on those exercises? Because you don't grow by doing more, you grow by recovering from what you did. So my advice is this: keep a log of your progressions, whether that is a running progression, a swimming meters progression, reps, total reps progression each week, how you're hitting those and what exercises, how you're fueling, how you're sleeping, and then you can look at that note, so journal, and I do it right here with my little blue notebook. Um, and if I have a great day, like today was a really good day. So I like to look back at the last 48 hours, exactly what I did. I ate well, I had a good night's sleep, um, had a little bit of carbs before the workout. All those things usually lead for a good workout. Even though I might not have felt like going right at first, I got into it and it turned out pretty good. So that's what journal, keeping track of your workouts are for. And if you're not really assessing how you're doing each day, you're just guessing. And so those are my big questions for you. So before you drop your current program, give it the full measure, see what's going on. If you can honestly answer yes to all these questions, that you're doing things right with your recovery and your consistency, then maybe it is your programming. But 9 times out of 10, I will tell you it is this, and it is not your programming. And this isn't just my programming, anybody's programming. In fact, I have told people who are on other programs that ask me, should I get off of this program and do what you recommend? I'm like, that's up to you, but let me ask you these questions. I ask them these questions and they're like, yeah, I'm kind of picking and choosing what workouts to do. Not really doing the whole workout as prescribed. My sleep sucks. I work a full-time job on my feet. I'm just tired all the time. So the recovery wasn't there. Like, let's fix some of those other issues before we go changing routines. So, all right. So let's take some questions. Looks like we got one over here on Instagram. Leo is back. He says, let me see. What do you say here? Back then, you would recommend baby formula and carnation instant powder as a way to get protein, since you said no supplements. Still a recommendation or not? Um, I've never recommended that. Jeff Nichols recommended that. Um, it works. I will tell you that that is food. That is not a supplement. So if you're trying to get around the supplement rule, um, pure protein is not considered a supplement. Like if you go, and I wish I had my bag here with me, but Ascent Protein, if you look on the back of Ascent Protein, it says nutrition facts. It does not say supplement facts. Like if I were to show you this little turmeric and curcumin gummies, which I really like, they taste very good. Supplement facts, right? This is a supplement. Illegal. Ooh, I got something in there. Um, so you get food however you want to get food. If you want to do baby formula, which I think is disgusting, go ahead. Uh, Would it be easier to join the military, train for a year or so, drop a packet to SFAS or RASP, and tell my recruiter I need more time to train and go into selection? Good question, because here's the deal. Army and Marine Corps are a little bit different, right? You can't just jump into boot camp and right after boot camp, you go to SFAS. You're going to go through infantry training. You're going to go through probably airborne training. Not sure the order, how that works. But um, you're going to have time to prepare. Now, I would say this, do as much of preparing as you can before the military, because when you are preparing for spec ops selection while you're in the military, you still have a full-time job in the military doing military things that make you very tired. And it may not be the best training environment, though you will have most likely pretty good access to gyms and things like that, depending on where you're stationed. But if you're spending a lot of time out in the field, not the best time to train for a selection. Sometimes you can get some good workouts in, but not all the time. So I'm not sure why you're asking me if something is easier to get into spec ops or not. There's no easy way to get into spec ops. You need to prepare. Whether or not you prepare as a civilian or you prepare more in the military, it's kind of up to you. Both ways work. For Army and Marines, SEAL, or for Navy and Air Force, I wouldn't recommend it. Be fully prepared before you go to boot camp. Boot camp's going to get you out of shape compared to the Army and the Marine Corps boot camps. They're a little tougher. And then you got to rebuild at the preps of both of those programs in order to get through it. So there's not a lot of time to prepare in the Navy and Air Force, and there's no job that is a stepping stone into spec ops programs like there are in the Army and the Marine Corps. Do you ever do plyometrics such as jump squats, plyo push-ups? If so, when in the programming? We do. I don't write them in there that much as far as my writings. As far as my local training, we will. In fact, we were doing some plyometrics this weekend, kind of our power day, whether we're throwing we do some thruster throws, we're actually squatting and throwing a tire, med ball power throws. So working on some power stuff, but yeah, jump squats is one of them. We do it with kettlebells. Um, so plyo push-ups, don't really do those too much, but you can add them if you want. I don't think it's going to hurt you. When doing the CSS, how can you tell if you're streamlined or not? I know you until you record, but what about during it? Man, some of your English. Um, I know you can tell if you record it on a video, but what about during it? You feel it. It's you feel smooth in the water, right? Otherwise, you can feel yourself plowing the surface of the water. If you're like surface tensions holding you back, you can feel baggy shorts pulling you back. Um, if you're gliding like this looks like a plow. It doesn't look like a streamlined torpedo body position. Those things matter. But yeah, I mean, video recording doesn't lie. If you think you're streamlined and then you get a video recording of it and you realize you're not, that tells you need to work on your external awareness of your body and how things feel and how you interpret those feelings. Because I know when I'm being smooth in the water, you just feel it. How do I explain that? I have no idea. It's just smooth. What do you recommend I do to stay in shape for the PST at boot camp? ROTC. My approach is spec war buds. Spec war buds is different due to my med history, and I have to wait to qualify at ROTC. That's a lie. Don't. If your recruiter's telling you that, it's not happening. You need to be an SO before you get to boot camp. I wouldn't fall for that. Unless they are making changes right now, to my knowledge, and I have guys at boot camp right now, they are not taking PSTs at boot camp. It's not how it works. You got to fully qualify before you go. If they're telling you you can take it at boot camp, it's a new program that I haven't heard about, and I'm pretty much on top of these things. Loaded one, 30 years old, cancer biologist, had 18X contract, blew apart clavicle. Oof, 2 big surgeries. Showed I had Lyme disease on top of it. Ooh. Spouse no longer for SF, lost advice. Oh man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one that I doubt I can answer it in a couple of seconds. I mean, first, are you medically qualified to go? If you're not, there's nothing you can do about it. Try to get a waiver, right? It sucks that your spouse no longer wants you there, no longer wants to go through that. I don't blame her. I mean, it sucks. You know, you got to have a woman that can live without you. Don't, yeah, someone, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I really don't have a good answer for you other than just hang in there. I mean, you sound like a great candidate other than the injuries and the illness. You know, if you can get cleared to do it and you really want to do it, that's your choice. You know, is that worth ruining a marriage over? I don't know. But, you know, I will say my girlfriend and wife at the time, they're the same person, never once said, choose me or the Navy. You know, she knew what she was getting into. So if you don't have one of those, that's going to make this journey a lot tougher. How important are long and slow distance workouts compared to speed workouts? When I run, I always convince myself that the harder the better. I think you need a good balance. I think you need I think you need 3. You need to go long and steady every now and then. Doesn't have to be every week. It doesn't even have to be running. It could be biking or long swims, like over an hour, right? And then you have a goal pace workout where you're practicing timed run pacing drills with your 1.5 miles, your 2 mile timed run, your 4 mile timed run, whatever distances you will be tested in. You need to master the pace that gets you that above average time. And then the third one is sprinting and even agility. You could throw a fourth one in there and add that in there, you know, once a week. But I would say this: once a week long, once a week short and fast, 3 times a week goal pace. That's just a very basic way to do it that I think if you're preparing for fitness tests, it's very important. Now, once you're done with those fitness tests, you don't need to practice so much goal pace. You can mix in more shorter, faster stuff. You can mix in, um, you know, different non-impact cardio activities. You could mix in longer, slow distances if you want. This is kind of up to you. I've been told that to people recruiting Naval Recruiting Command in regards to my situation. Well, I'm going to ask my I'm going to ask the local SEAL mentor. Why don't you ask the local SEAL mentor that question? right? If they've never given you the contact information for the SEAL mentor, the person who is taking you to the PST and administering the PST, because let me tell you, if you don't qualify medically for the PST now, chances are you're not going to qualify for it then. And my advice would be just hold your ship date until you are medically qualified, then PST, get your SO. Don't be in a hurry to join. That's my advice. Now, I'm sure I'm pissing off a bunch of recruit training command people, especially if I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, I apologize. But to my knowledge, and I will confirm today, in fact, I'll text the guy and let's see if he are they doing PSTs at boot camp now for Navy buds contracts? Question mark. All right. We will see. Maybe I'll have an answer before the end of this show. I have to get evaluated for general at RTC, and if I pass, I could be looked at for spec war from someone at recruit training command. Maybe later, but to my knowledge, there's no process that gets you an SO contract while you are at boot camp. All right. Don't ask me that question again because I don't know the answer. I asked the person. If he comes back to me in the next few minutes, I will share his answer with you. But that's the way it works. As of this last boot camp, unless they've made a change that I haven't heard about, which is possible. Brett from Anne Arundel County, firefighter here. Recommendations on sleep and recovery after shifts, hard work. Also, Marine Corps vet. Yeah, thanks, Brett. Local county firefighter. I have a lot on sleep and recovery in the form of articles. My advice is seriously, I hate to do this to you because it's such a big topic. Go to Google, Stu Smith, sleep recovery. I probably have 10 articles and 10 podcasts on that topic. And probably one of the best ones for you are shift work and recovery and workouts. That's another one you can search. I've written extensively about that. And it's out there. And I apologize for briefly answering this. It's just almost too big to answer. All right, so let me get back to the boot camp guy. All right, so my guy who puts a lot of people into this program via the PST, he says yes and no. They will do a performance check with a team there, but it's broken up into 2 days. Swim one day, calisthenics the second day. I'm going there the first week of May to give input and ask questions about it all, and we'll share everything we learned. Okay, so that's May that they're going to figure this stuff out. I'll be down. Oh, he's going to come down tomorrow and work a PST with us. So anyway, that's the word. So it doesn't sound like it's a real PST. It might just say that you're qualified to take a PST, but there's no PST to be administered there during boot camp. So there's no SO contract that's going to be given to you while you're at boot camp. Unless there is. I don't know. So, all right. How does one balance training hard, pass pain, and not get injured? Well, there is a fine line between mental toughness and stupidity. Where is that? It's when you are injured. Where does it matter? Where does it not matter is when it's a life or death situation and you're running on a broken leg to get it so you don't die, then it's no longer stupid, right? So that is something you have to figure out. And unfortunately, here's how people get injured. They run too much, they run too fast, they lift too much, they do way too many reps, and they fall and they hurt themselves, right? Or they some form of contact sport. Um, that's how people get injured. So everybody's going to be different. I don't have an answer for you as far as like run 20 miles a week and you won't overdo it, but some people can't do that or they'd be overdoing it. So that's the beauty of that. That's a kind of a vague description of mental toughness and stupidity line, but it's that vague, right? And it depends on you and your conditioning. That's what he relayed to me, but I've been given a lot of pushback on that approach. Well, don't know what to tell you. I'm just saying that I hope it works out for you. I'm not aware of it going to happen. Training progress update. Weight gained has helped me with buoyancy. 500-meter swim. Air Force pipeline is within goal. Any recommendations on water treading, dry land activities to fix in the water? Yes. Have you seen my article on mobility and treading? It's a great one. Google the term Stu Smith, mobility, treading. Your mobility issues is most likely your treading issues are most likely a mobility issue in the hips, knees, and ankles, especially if you're trying to learn, egg beater. Does your body get used to working out early in the morning or does it always suck? I would say I'm used to it. I've been doing it for 43 years pretty regularly. In fact, I can't think of any time since I was 13 years old other than a surgery, a hospital stay, that I didn't work out, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week, first thing in the morning and in the afternoon. But yeah, even for me, when I wake up in the morning, there's this little moment in my head that's like, oh God, this sucks. It's already morning. But you get up and do it anyway. That's what it's all about. All right, I got some questions over here on YouTube I need to answer. Joe says, how would you train for federal tactical PST that incorporates burpees, pull-ups, and especially weighted burpees and ram carrying? One of my favorites we do is a burpee pull-up pyramid. And the way that works is you get this outdoor pull-up bar, and 100 yards away from that outdoor, I'm going to say 50 yards away. 50 yards away from that outdoor pull-up bar, you do your burpee. One burpee at 50 meters away, run to that pull-up bar, one pull-up. Run back, two burpees. Run back, two pull-ups. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. You can see it. Pull-up burpee pyramid. It's a great one. And during those runs, you can start doing other things beside running. You can do bear crawls, fireman carries, ram carrying. Do it with a weight vest. Maybe do the first 10 sets with a weight vest, take the weight vest off after 10, and then do it with rams on the odd sets, whatever. You can get creative with it, but that's what I would do. One of my favorites. Yeah, get a dummy, drag it. It's good stuff. How often should we practice that PST a week? I wouldn't necessarily practice the PST, but practice those activities. Depending on your age, I'd say 2 to 3 times, 3 times the most. I mean, you could get 3 good upper body workouts by Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Get 3 really good ones, and then you may not want to do another one on Monday the week after. Maybe do it on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You can kind of play around that way. You know, but yeah, every other day, maybe some weeks you give 2 days off in between in that 7-day period. All right. Hey, Stu, tips on stress management. Worked on your program last year for 4 months, then found out I was having a son. I'm 25, just had my first son, trying to get back at it. Yeah, man, stress management. It's all about recovery. And let me just say this: stress mitigation, Stu Smith in the Google machine. Um, Here's some of my favorites right here. In fact, it's an article. I'll put a link into the comment section down here, Justin, and it's titled Stress Mitigation Recovery, Physical, Professional, Personal Stresses. Um, and there's a podcast with it as well. It's really good. I think it might be really helpful for you. Check out that article. Dylan says, "Hey Stu, I just got into running in the country on gravel, incline, 200 feet on a mile road. Should my mile time be this slow at 8 minutes or sub 6:30?" Woo! I don't know. 200 feet is not super high, but I will say this: it's not low either. I'd say our hill is about a quarter mile, 200-foot elevation, and that sucks. I mean, it's you get to the top, you're glad you're at the top, and there's no more left. Um, so it's going to be slower, absolutely. But my advice is this: don't just run the hill. Maybe once a week, run that hill, and then all your other runs are flat. You can mix in some sand runs or track runs, bleachers if you want to, change it up a little bit, work the legs and the lungs a little more. But I mean, a 6:30 on a hill would be really good. Like you would probably be able to go sub 6 pretty easily, maybe even 5:30 on a flat if you can do that. All right, let's see. All right, Joe says, ideally, how much of an advantage should we have in the federal tactical PST if you have a legitimate aerobic base running 35, 45 miles a week for years? I think that's going to be an advantage. However, um, I see in the next comment you say goes without saying you lift. You do need a foundation of strength on top of that aerobic base. However, it takes it to another level when you're doing pull-ups and burpees and carrying something with a weight vest. It's just a little, you're making aerobic training a little harder where it turns anaerobic. So you need to push yourself and work on that muscle stamina just so you have that ability to push through that aerobic zone and hang out in that anaerobic zone a little longer with some muscle stamina. So that's why I was saying you should probably do it like 3 times a week, um, just so you get used to that. And take a day off or two, in between, and let your muscles rest. But yeah, I would say every other week, give yourself the test, just see how it's looking. Just curious, how many calories do I eat a day? I'm trying to lose weight, so I am always in that 2,000, 2,200 range. Um, and sometimes because I snack and I eat that extra piece of chicken or I eat that boiled egg, um, I might get up to 25, 26. So I will say this, at my age, I have learned that it is very hard to outwork my diet. So if I'm going to lose weight, it is done by my normal workout routines, which aren't nothing. I mean, hour and a half in the morning, another hour in the afternoon. Um, and then, if I'm going to lose weight, I have to watch what I eat now. Used to not be an issue. Whenever spring came around, I could rip up that winter weightlifting bulk real easily. Now I can't. Same for me with night training. I train at 2 a.m. and I'm used to it. I don't want to sun out and like to train in peace. Yeah, cool. All right, let's see. Couple questions over here. Looks like what's typical maintenance mileage during a lifting period? For us, since we lift outdoors in the winter most of the time, unless it's like in the teens and a wind chill or ice, we typically run about 15 just to stay warm, 15 to 20. Um, so it's a lot of like quarter miles in between sets just so you're not standing around, you know, getting cold when it's in the 20s. So it's ours is a little bit different. I don't think you need that much in a typical lift cycle, but even when we were lifting indoors in the winter, we would keep it at like 15 a week just to maintain, but they were fast 15s. They weren't like 15 super slow once a week, or twice a week with, 7-mile long runs. They're like 2 to 3 miles of running each day, but fast. Goal pace, sprints, um, timed runs. We do a mile and a half timed run just to keep pace there. Is your phase 2 book? Should all the goal pace running be at 7 minutes, or should it be at 6 and 7 minutes? Well, it depends, Blake. That depends on your abilities, because goal pace for me may not be goal pace for you. Somebody's goal pace may be somebody's sprint. So my advice is this, and I explain how to define goal pace, whether it's in that book in the running section or it is in an article. You do it like this. If you're running a 7-minute mile now, you obviously want to get a little faster and see if you can get closer to 6-minute mile pace. So now when you hit that 7, subtract a minute from your pace, and that is now your new goal pace. 6-minute mile is now your goal pace if you run a 7. If you're running 8, you shouldn't drop it all the way down to 6. It should be 7. Be logical, drop it a minute. So now you're going from a 145 quarter to a 130 quarter. Pretty logical progression, right? You're going from a 3:30 half mile to a 3-minute half mile. And I will say this, there's usually like a little fudge factor in your goal pace, especially when you first start. My advice is try to set a goal in between that 6 and 6:30 pace. So that means you're going to run an 800, instead of running it at 3:30, you're going to try to hit that 3 to 3:15 zone. Okay. That'll get you between that 6 and 6:30 pace. That's a goal pace. And it's all about muscle memory on that goal pace. Leo is saying 5'8", 200 pounds, would you say should be focusing more on low impact cardio to make sure don't get shins pain until I lose the weight? Can't tell if I'm a big guy by your standards. I wouldn't say you're a big guy. You're a heavier 5'8" than most people. I'd say most people that train with us that are 5'8" that are probably 185. So you're close. I don't think 200 pounds is too much to run. Even if you're 5'8", I should take that back. 5'8", we usually have some 165 to 180s. Yeah, 5'10", we probably have 185 to 190. That's just the average sizes. I'm not saying you have to be at that. I've seen 5'8" guys at 200 make it through fine. They just got to work on their conditioning. All right, let's see here. What else we got? All right. So Ryan says he had an 18X contract with the National Guard, and it didn't work out with a waiver, but it's working out for an option 40 Ranger contract with active duty, and I feel good about it. Yeah, I'd feel good about it too. I think that's solid. I think you'll like that for sure. Glad that worked out for you. And if you want to continue your tactical proficiency, Delta recruits a lot of Rangers. So, you know, that is a natural progression for many guys that are continuing on. Did I hear any rumors of a National Guard Ranger battalion? I have not. Wouldn't surprise me though. But I have not heard that. How concerned does a SEAL candidate have to be with preparing academically? I know physics and algebra are two important ones. Well, I mean, you need to be able to read, you need to be able to comprehend both verbal and written instructions. So you gotta be smart. You gotta be able to remember things. Having some experience with algebra, you will need to do for dive physics. Having some experience with physics is helpful, just for the dive physics alone. But so many other things too. I mean, just geometry for angles and understanding, you know, shooting angles and patrolling and navigation. There's so much other um, science behind what you do. You just don't even realize it. So yeah, you should know it. Usually, what we do, especially in dive phase, we always have study hours at the end of the day, especially if we have a test the next day or later that week. We'll have study sessions, and people who know math will get up there and do math problems, and we'll practice dive physics, and we'll practice dive algebra. Um, for people who may not have done well in high school algebra, and it's been a long time since they've done algebra. We've had that too. Um, we got lucky. We had one of our guys was a teacher. He's like college grad, taught for like 5 years, and then became a SEAL. And then the officers would help out too, because a lot of them were engineers and physics majors and things like that, so they could help out with that. But nowadays, you got a bunch of people with college degrees that are also enlisted that can help each other out as well. But you do it as a team like that. Always liked that. I always thought it was fun. It was very collaborative, and that's the way it should be. Helping each other out with your weaknesses. All right, folks. So I will try to find out more about that program for the guy who's supposedly taking a PST at boot camp. Like I said, to my knowledge, it doesn't exist. If they're making a program out of that, that'd be nice. I will say this. It used to be that way, where you would take your PST at boot camp, and then that would ensure you had a SEAL contract, whenever you graduated. You would earn that SEAL contract before, and then you had to take it one more time at boot camp to be. And then they used to do it where there was no preparatory process whatsoever. With the recruiters, there was no SEAL mentor, there was no PST. You took the PST at boot camp, and then if you passed it, you could go to buds afterwards. And you didn't change rates or anything. You actually had to go to the A school of your rate. So let's say you were a corpsman. You spent 12 weeks at corpsman school working out, getting ready for buds, and then you went to buds as a corpsman. When you graduated, you were a corpsman that was a SEAL. So they've made a lot of changes. Are they making more? Sure. They're going to make more every 5 or 6 years. Matt, go ahead and ask that question. And then we'll end on that one. But I'll try to find an answer for you about that PST and medical process that you're going through. You asking a question, Matt, or are you just messing with me? Okay. What parts of SEAL training do you think help you most turn you into a complete savage? The most, just a savage to the highest degree. Oh, no. I would say they all three do, but first phase is you're just toughing it out, right? How bad do you want it? How tough are you to get through first phase in Hell Week? Second phase, you kind of get over a fear of diving at night if you never scuba dived before. So you're conquering fears, you're very cold, doing 2 dives a day. It's just tiring. Land warfare phase starts to get really cool. Start to feel like a hunter. You are shooting, patrolling, navigating, you surviving. You start learning some really cool skills. And then SQT, you take those skills to another level. In the teams, you take it to another level. And I would say probably everything you get at Buds and SQT is kind of like elementary school and, maybe high school. And then you show up at your team and now you're in, graduate level courses, or I should say college, right? And then if you want to go into like a tier 1 unit, now you're talking graduate level school, if that makes sense, right? You're taking all of that. And I would say probably the most savage is you getting to a tier 1 unit, because that's when you are the best of the best there. 100%. Sorry if that doesn't answer you specifically, but that's how I understood your question. How much rest do you take on 800-meter runs? We typically take a 100-meter walk as our rest. That's it. So I'm not sure what the time is on that, maybe 45 seconds. They say passing RASP is not the hard part. It's staying in. My friend left 2nd Battalion and said many are cut every year for their PST tests at the battalion. Damn. Yeah, I mean, you got to maintain a standard. It is hard. All right, folks, I need to go. I'll be back tomorrow. Probably we'll have some videos for us to share with the CSS, do some live CSS critiques. Send them in if you want me to critique them. Happy to do that. And we'll take more questions tomorrow. So prep your questions, get them ready. I'll answer them. We'll see you later.